God bless you. Hello, gun nuts. Oh, no. I hate these things. No. Some of us can do this from our head. Welcome, and thank you so much for the kind welcome I have received today. It is great to be here. I don't know what anyone was thinking. I found out today that Larry was speaking before me, and I don't know who made that call. That was insane for me, but thank you very much. Last night I was. I'm going to throw it, what? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That, no! You're just doing blah, 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 blah. Last night I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and yay, the Amish! Do we have any Amish here? And it was, I had to follow, I followed this child who must have been about 7 and adorable and far smarter than me, and her little brother, I'm not kidding, her little brother ran out when they introduced me, and he took a hammer and he rang a replica of the Liberty Bell, and I walked out and I'm like, holy, how am I following that? And tonight it's Larry the Cable Guy. I feel bad for Wayne LaPierre because he asked me to speak tonight about 2 years ago when he thought I'd still be somebody. I know at some point this year he's like, holy crap, he's on the internet now? Let's get the thing that, I don't know, should be said right away. Let's get it out. Who I endorse for President of the United States, my shoe. Anyone but Barack Obama, including my shoe. He'd do better than Barack Obama. I can make the case. Sadly, however, I found out this morning he's constitutionally ineligible to run for president, as I found out he was not born in America. So, the government will not allow a crisis to go to waste. And that's exactly what's happening in Florida. There's a crisis that can be exploited, and they can come after people like you because you're all gun nuts. Beck is a gun nut, NRA, nothing but gun nuts. They will use anything, including the tragic death of Trayvon Martin, to call you and me and all of us gun nuts and vilify gun owners. Al Sharpton, I saw him this week actually patting himself on the back, saying, I want you to know I was one of the first people to say he needed to go to jail. I was the first to say he's guilty and should go to jail. When did that become something we're proud of? When did that become something that we wear as a badge of honor? To say, I was the first to try a man in the media. I was the first to say, oh, that pesky Constitution, the right to a jury trial. I was the first to say guilty before innocent. That's crazy. The world is absolutely upside down. It's not a badge of honor. It's a sign of what is coming our way. I mean, it's pretty hard because, I mean, honestly, Al Sharpton. I mean, he was also the first to call for the conviction of 6 innocent people with Tawana Brawley. He was also the first to say, oh, you know what, we should have the people in jail. One of the first to say, get the Duke lacrosse team, they're guilty. You know, a lot of people on the left, they're always the ones that stand up and say they're worried that there might be some innocent people on death row. Well, let me address those people right now. If you're worried about it, the first thing you should do is stop listening to Al Sharpton, because he seems to be one of the first to always be wrong. I don't know if Zimmerman is guilty, and nobody in this room knows if he is guilty. We weren't there, but neither was Al Sharpton. Now we have Sharpton, Farrakhan, the Black Panthers, the neo-Nazis, all calling for justice. Excuse me? We're going to get justice from the Black Panthers and the neo-Nazis? Americans should be calling for reason, for truth, for justice in a court of law. We are a nation of laws and not men. And can somebody tell me this? Where is the president and the DOJ on this one? Where are they? Suddenly absent. Do you remember when all of a sudden they decided it was a good idea to hold terror trials of some of the worst terrorists in New York City? Anybody remember their excuse? They said it was important to try them there. It was important, it was vital to show the world how great our justice system is. Where are they now defending that great American justice system? Nowhere. Let the world see the American justice system. It works. But the media will spin it every single time. I saw something coming from the NRA yesterday where Chris Cox was giving a speech and he showed the video of Eric Holder, where Eric Holder is saying, you know what we need to do? We just need to use all kinds of propaganda, and we need to, hypnotize or something. What was it? Brainwash. We need to brainwash people. I love that. Did anyone see how that was reported in the press today? It was reported in the press that Chris got up and showed a video allegedly where Holder was saying brainwashed. Allegedly? What? Was that a Muppet of Eric Holder up there? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. They will say whatever they want to say. The media is out of control and not a source of truth. But let's get this on record. If Zimmerman is guilty, if he is a guy who used a gun illegally or irresponsibly, there's no one in America that wants that man behind bars more than the law-abiding citizens of the NRA. But the media will never portray it that way, because the media is corrupt. The media is irresponsible. In many cases, they are colluding with those who want to destroy the United States of America. And in the best case scenario, they're stupid, they're lazy, they're asleep, or they're suffering from something I like to call cowardice. But the media is not telling you the truth. That's why we started gbtv.com, and I just like to throw that in real quick in case anybody would like to subscribe. I mean, you could subscribe. It's only $5 a month. I mean, You greedy, selfish, rich 1% gun-toting hate-monger bastards. Where was I? Oh yeah, this gun thing. The media tells us these stories. They'll concentrate on Florida, but they will not concentrate on other stories. And besides an agenda, explain it. Story number one, Oklahoma City, New Year's Eve. Young mother was home alone with her 3-month-old baby when a man kicked her door down. Came after her with a knife. She grabbed a 12-gauge shotgun. Amen and amen. Philadelphia, college student sitting in front of his house with several friends when 3 robbers approached and demanded money. When the student said he didn't have any, the thieves grabbed their guns and opened fire. The student in Philadelphia had a concealed carry permit. He used it. The suspect, one of the thieves, went to the hospital, then to jail. In Duluth, Georgia, a woman was getting out of the shower when she was met by a strange man with a kitchen knife. Woman tried to fight the man off with a shower rod, but he forced her into the bedroom. She told the attacker that she had money in the room, but instead grabbed her .22 and shot him 9 times. Oh, look at you, you hate mongers. Don't you care what happened to him at all? You hate. I'm disappointed in you. First of all, she lied to him. She said she had money, and she grabbed a gun. In Albany, Georgia, January 6th, the woman walked into her office, found herself in a fight with a man brandishing a butcher knife. Okay, first of all, we got to stop talking about guns. Look how many butcher knives are popping up. Then another guy comes in. She's fighting this guy off who's got a butcher knife, and another guy comes in with a gun. Now, I don't know if those two are working together, or they're like, oh, crap, this house is already taken. She decided she was going to just reach into her drawer and grab her gun, and she shot them. Amen. Pittsburgh, January 4th, a teenager thought it would be easy to rob a double amputee in the neighborhood in Pittsburgh. Teen fired 2 shots through a window, then attempted to enter the apartment. Much to his surprise, the double amputee still had hands and a gun. And finally, one more story that the press refuses to report. Florida. An ex-convict barged into a former beauty queen's home, grabbed the 110-pound woman, the story said around her nose and mouth, I don't know how that works exactly, and then took her and dragged her to the upstairs bedroom. Her fiancé woke up. He started to attack the attacker. He was losing. It gave her enough time to scramble and grab her .38. She had grabbed her .38 special, shot him several times. He's dead today. All thanks to a beauty queen with a pink gun. There is real trouble because the media is not showing the truth. They have a clear agenda. And our government is clearly out of control. The National Academy of Sciences published a review of 253 journals, 99 books, 43 government publications, 80 gun control schemes. They tried to find which laws are really helping out on violent crime, suicide, or accidents. Take a guess. Out of 253 journals, 99 books, 43 government publications, 80 gun control schemes. The number of programs and laws that actually help, 0. Nobody reports anywhere when somebody saves a life or stops a crime because they're a responsible citizen with a gun. But the chance of you getting killed or hurt by a gun in the hands of a responsible citizen, 1 in a million. 1 in a million. The chance of you dying at the hands of your pool is 1 in 11,000. Why aren't we regulating the pools? Oh, that's right. We now are. Regulation is coming our way. Nobody is going to, they're not going to get rid of the Second Amendment. That's too obvious. The name that everyone in this room should study and watch and learn and be alert is Cass Sunstein, the most dangerous man in the government today, because he's the guy who goes in the back door through regulation. He's waited his whole life for this moment. He's a regulator. They're not going to take your gun away from you. They'll just make sure it's impossible for you to buy another one. Impossible for you to own a bullet, buy a bullet, shoot it anywhere. They'll make it so complex. Let me tell you something. Has anybody here actually tried to buy a gun in New York City? I have. We had somebody on our staff for one of our books go in and just try to buy a gun in New York City. 1 year it took. I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about carry a gun, purchase a gun. 1 year, all done through regulation. By the end of the year, the guy was like, I don't even remember, I'm buying a what again? People just give up. That's Cass Sunstein. Those are the things that you'll have to watch for. And this is happening everywhere. I know you know about Eddie Anderson, loaned his son some tools to dig for arrowheads. Now, how many of us who grew up in the West as kids dug for arrowheads? I mean, that's what you do in the West. Dug for arrowheads. Unfortunately, they were digging for them on federal land. The authorities were called in. The father was told, you need to get a lawyer, quote, and a damn good one. Why? Well, his children were involved in a violation of the Archaeological Resources Protection Act. This is the one that says, you can't dig for arrowheads. Not on federal land, and you certainly can't take them off of federal land. Each of them pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor and got a year's probation and a $1,500 fine. They're kids. The EPA now enforces 25,000, not regulations, pages of regulations. Just that one entity. Krister Evertson, would-be inventor, convicted for the apparent environmental crime of shipping sodium metal. I don't even know what sodium metal is. Sounds yummy, sounds like it's got salt in it. New York will hate it, of course. You can send sodium metal, not breaking the law. You have to have the proper packaging. You have to have the proper labeling. He did all of that. What he didn't do is fill out all of the new proper forms to send. He spent 15 months in prison. Wade Martin, he sold 10 sea otters. He caught them, he sold them for $50 each. Now, I don't know who's getting rich on sea otters. You're allowed to sell sea otters, but the Marine Mammal Protection Act says you can only sell sea otters to native Alaskans. Okay, he did that. He thought, except he was selling it to an Alaskan, not a native Alaskan. Therefore, he just received 2 years probation and a $1,000 fine. And then there's this one, Morgan Mock. She was raided by agents, I love this, raided by agents from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Aren't those the weather people? Aren't those the people like, and a tornado is coming your way? They apparently now have guns. She was raided by agents of NOAA. They came in with assault rifles. The weather people. Because they found out that she had some coral. They kept her under surveillance for 6 months. Good heavens. This is what our government's doing. They kept her under surveillance for 6 months. They found nothing except unfinished paperwork. She paid a $1,500 fine. When I was in Lancaster last night, I spoke a little bit about the Amish, and there were Amish there. Because even the Amish are pissed. Even the Amish are pissed, like, Jebediah, I am so angry right now, I could turn on a light. This government spent a year undercover with the Amish. What's their crime? Unhomogenized, unpasteurized milk. Not kidding you. It gets worse from here. They were shipping it across state lines. Somebody else had unpasteurized milk in New Jersey that came from Pennsylvania Amish cows. Oh, Jebediah, if we had a switch right now, I'd be going click, 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 I'm that mad. The feds came in and have put a stop to the lethal, I mean lethal and vicious Jebediah Amish crime syndicate. They bust down the doors and they are now making sure that they are not selling anything unpasteurized to any unauthorized people. May I just say, this is unhomogenized butter from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I brought it here last night. Right here, homemade Amish butter. Man, I'm a rebel living on the edge. Does any of this stuff make any sense at all? What has happened to us? What is wrong with us? I'll tell you what's wrong. We don't know our own history. Washington crossing the Delaware. You bring up the picture? There it is. Has it been there the whole time? Don't ever let my kids see this videotape because I tell them all the time I have eyes in the back of my head. They'll know. Anybody know where this painting was painted? You know? No? Don't scold them like that. It was painted in Germany. Anybody know where it hangs today? It's supposed to actually be in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but I'm not kidding you, before I left New York, I wanted to take my kids to show them this painting. It's beautiful, it's enormous. And I went to the Met and I'm walking around, the rest of the crap, oh look, it's a giant painting of blue. And there's a big red blob. It's great, I just can't spend enough time at the Met. But I wanted to take my kids to show them this painting. I got in there and I knew where it was and I kept going back and forth. I finally asked somebody, I said, where's Washington crossing the Delaware? It's in storage, sir. What? You've crated this painting and it's in storage so you could put a big blob up on the wall? It's in storage. But is that in Washington, the one in storage, is it the original? No, it's not the original. The original was actually destroyed in Berlin during an airstrike in 1944. The original is gone. Now wait a minute, how is this painted in Germany? How is the original in Berlin instead of the United States of America? Because everything you probably think you know about this painting is a lie. Most people don't even know it. We know Washington. Who's the guy with the flag? The guy with the flag is Madison. A later hero, Madison. Who's this? That's a woman. Do you even know that was a woman? Have you ever thought that's a woman in there? Here's the good news so you can all relax. That woman, she's never worked a day in her life. She's like, this is the first time I've ever been in one of these boat thingies. What is this? I'm so stupid. I'm a woman. Here she is, a woman. This is a Scot. He's about to say, I need more time, Captain. See the guy with the hat back there? That's an African American. See the guy, this guy right here? That's a Native American. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I know an African American, a woman, a Native American, a Scot, outdoorsman. What is this story telling? This painting was painted around 1850. And it was painted by a German who had lived here in America for a while. It was inspired by something that happened February 23rd, 1848. It was called the Spring of Nations. Wait a minute, maybe this is starting to sound like something we should pay attention to. The Spring of Nations. What? I know we're in the Arab Spring. We're headed for the American Spring. That's what I hear from Occupy Wall Street. We're headed for the Arab Spring. What is the Spring of Nations that started February 23rd, 1848? And how does it relate to this picture? And what should history tell us? What should we learn? What is this gigantic painting that used to sit across the other side of the world? What is it screaming to America right now? What is it saying? Sorry I made the kids cry. Something else happened on February 21st, 1848. The Spring of Nations, the war started, revolution swept all of Europe, 1848. 2 days before, somebody who had been writing a lot of pamphlets and stirring up trouble, grinding things down, stirring up as much trouble as he could in any country where he could gain a foothold. Karl Marx published the Communist Manifesto in Germany February 21st, 1848. It led to the Spring of Nations that began February 23rd, 1848. It was communism that led to the Spring of Nations that spread all over Europe. And one man who had lived in America, who was a German, who went back and said, no, that's the wrong direction. I know what you're feeling. Yes, the governments are out of control. Yes, the elites have power. But that's not the way to go. Karl Marx, he's a moron. The way to go is the way the Americans went. Why is there a woman? Why is there a Native American? Why is there a black man? Why is there a farmer and a scholar and a general in the boat? Because the average person, when they link together, they can do anything. This isn't the moment. Think of how controversial this painting was. Where were they headed? Where were they headed? They were headed the very next morning going to defeat the Hessians. Germans saying, look at this amazing moment. It's not the moment that turned everything, the moment where they defeated the Hessians. That wasn't the moment that they're extolling here, because America is never about the finished product. It's about the journey. It's about the process. It's about being what we are. People who gather together, each of us with different skills, different backgrounds, and coming together and doing the right thing. We are headed for another spring of nations. History is crying out. Everywhere, it is telling us, it ain't that hard, guys. The answer is not that hard. What did George Washington do before we fought the war? He called for a national day of prayer and fasting. I am convinced that we are a land of a covenant people, that we are a land of people who had betrayed and broken that covenant. We made a promise to God. We would do as He told us to do. We would be pure, we would be decent. He would be our God and we would be His people, and we have broken that. George Washington called for a day. It was May 17th that he called for a day of fasting and prayer, and to beg God Almighty to protect this nation and this cause. I suggest we do the same thing this May 17th. We beg God to protect this nation and His cause. Go home and tell your preachers and your pastors and your rabbis. Tell them, say it from the pulpit. Beg God for His protection. He did it a second time. He did it again in July. There was no way to beat the British. Look at the painting behind me. You know how they got the boat? They went to a guy who lived on the river and took it. And he's like, hey, what are you guys doing here? Like, we need your boat. Yeah, you guys are going to lose. I don't know if I want to give you the boat. It was a borrowed boat. None of the guys wanted to go with Washington on this. They had lost every battle. George Washington stunk on ice. He was a bad general. I mean, let's give him credit. He didn't want to be the commander-in-chief. He begged them not to. In fact, when they were discussing it, just so he could make more people comfortable with them bad-mouthing him, he excused himself from the conversation and said, you guys talk about this, because I really think this is a really bad idea, and left. And he lost time and time and time again. but he begged God. It's why he is the indispensable man. Because he knew he had to be a man of honor at all times. There was no room for error. Because if you're going to beat the most powerful army and navy on earth, and you're going to do it with borrowed boats and a bunch of farmers, you need something in your back pocket, and the only thing that will do it is God. If you want to beat Barack Obama and the things that we have coming our way, let's have God in our back pocket. Nobody wanted to go with him. Thomas Paine, just a few months before, was the guy who wrote Common Sense. He wrote just a brilliant, simple book that said, okay, all right. I know we're not all dummies here. You see what they're doing? How's this going to work out? How's that going to happen? Well, we all have common sense now, don't we? You know how much our CDOs, our debt, collateralized debt obligation really is? I mean, this is amazing. We all talk about $15 trillion. What is it, 16, 20? I don't even know what it is anymore, our debt. We all talk about that debt being so horrible. How's that going to work out? Oh, we own $15 trillion of debt. Yeah. Let me tell you our collateralized debt obligation. This means that when you go and get a loan, okay, I hold that note as the bank. And you get a loan, 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 and you, and I take all of those loans and I hold them. Now you owe me money. But now as the bank, I look at that and say, I've got an asset. No, you don't. No, you don't. You have debt. You as the bank is holding all this debt. Because if you guys don't pay, this isn't worth anything. There's nothing of value here. It's air. Air, nothing. But then as a bank, what I do is I take that and I bundle all of these together, and then I use that as collateral, and I say, hey, who's going to loan me money? Because look, if I don't pay, you can have what they're not going to pay. Common sense. You think that's going to work out? Especially when I tell you how big that number is. $100 trillion. No. 500 trillion. No. 800 trillion. No. 1.5 quadrillion dollars. We're in, remember when we were all in like second grade? We thought trillion was a made-up word? I don't even know. Quadrillion, apparently it's a real word. Who knew it? To give you some perspective, 1 trillion inches stacked up takes you 1/5 of the way to the moon. 1 trillion inches stacked all up, 1/5 of the way to the moon. 1.5 quadrillion inches takes you to the moon and back. 50,000 times. Let's use common sense. How's this one going to work out? It's not. It's not. But it's okay. Now, Thomas Paine was the one who wrote Common Sense, which then led to the Declaration of Independence and everybody going, yeah, we should do this because it doesn't make any sense. What they're doing in England doesn't make sense to us. And so they got him into the boat. Sorry, it got them to the shore, not to the boat. What got them into the boat? What got them into the boat was the same guy. Here's Washington, he's losing all the way. The cowards in Philadelphia, the politicians, they had already run. Washington was now on their side of the Delaware. He was coming from New York. He was just losing battle after battle after battle after battle. He finally crosses the Delaware. He gets there to the other side on the Pennsylvania side, and he's standing there and he's like, whew, okay, all right, let's regroup here for a second. They've only got 2,000 people left. That's it. 20,000 is where he started in July. 2,000 left. It's now Christmas. Thomas Paine is with another regiment, and he's listening to the fife and drum as he's walking in the mud. And he realizes, now we're in trouble. Oh, you think it was tough when you wanted to declare war on those guys? You think that was tough when you said, we're going to break away? And as he's listening to the fife and drum, all he can think is, these are the times to try men's souls. These are the times that try men's souls. Not then, not last summer, now. Sunshine Patriots, where are ya? You thought it was great. Everybody was having a party. Oh, we're going to be free. We're getting our butts handed to us. These are the times that try men's souls. Will you stand or not? He looks to the drummer and says, hand me the head of your drum. And he writes what's called the American Crisis. He writes it on the head of a drum. He rolls it up, he hands it to a horseback rider and says, get this to Philadelphia and have it printed, and find Washington and give it to him. They do. It arrives Christmas Eve as all of the men who are standing there and he's trying to convince get into the boat, it arrives. He reads it. He then reads it to his men. Are you going to be a sunshine patriot? Now that the going has got tough? Or do we stand? Heaven surely knows how to fix a proper price on something as valuable as freedom. They all get into the boat. And what happens? They kick the butt of the Hessians. So you can put this into context. Those were the Navy SEALs of their day. Farmers kicked the butts of the Navy SEALs. First of all, don't any farmer try to do that because it ain't going to happen. It's a special day. And the whole war changed. And then in 1848, a German sees Karl Marx, sees these agitators in the streets, sees these men and women going down insane ways. He's a Tea Partier. He's the first Tea Party guy in Germany. And he says, look what can be done. And he starts a German Tea Party, a force against Karl Marx. They win. You tell me what famous painting came out of 1848, 1850, came out of the spring of nations, a political statement. Tell me what's lasted and has inspired more people than that. The solutions that we need are right in front of us. We need to find a leader, and I got news for you. I mean, Wayne should have known something about, reconsidering asking me to speak when I first said, I think we should all look at Michelle Bachmann, and like 15 minutes later, she drops out of the race. And then I'm like, Rick Santorum is a really good guy. And then like last week, he drops out of the race. We have Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's our guy. Now, let me tell you something. Haven't been a Mitt Romney fan, but let me tell you something. I've done a lot of research. Now that we come up to this, and I've looked into his past, I've looked into all of his policies, I've looked into everything I could possibly find on Mitt Romney to see if there's something I can really get my arms around and say, yes, the American people need to know this, and here it is. Mitt Romney is my guy because Mitt Romney's not a communist. What do you say? I know that's a pretty low bar, but I'm willing to take that low bar. What do you say we make sure no Marxists or communists or revolutionaries are in the White House next year? We need God. We need education. The third thing we need is empowerment. Empowerment. You're a powerful group. The NRA is a powerful group. But this is not a job for groups alone. This is for individuals. Each individual had to take the step and get into the boat. Are you in or are you out? There are no spectators this time around. Most groups, believe it or not, conservative groups, have anywhere between 10 and 30% of each conservative organization that is not registered to vote. Imagine, in fact, I want you to ask, I want you to look at the person next to you and ask them, are you registered to vote? I feel like a Baptist preacher. Anybody who would like to come in and get the baptism of registration, you come up to the front right now. GBTV is about to launch in a few weeks what I believe will be the largest libertarian voter registration drive ever done in America. We are going to sweep the nation from corner to corner and empower you to get your friends, your neighbors, your neighborhood connected to the voting booth. But it's going to take a commitment. First starts with you. Get them to vote. You must get yourself registered. Every single organization, including this one, 10 to 30% is not registered. Clean up your own house first. The last thing we need is entrepreneurship. You want to restart the heart of this nation? Small business is the key. But what is entrepreneurship really? It's a creative process, which means we can't be part of a destructive force. We can't be against something. We must be for something. We must create. We must elevate. And if you really want small government, I got news for you. When the 1.5 quadrillion thing happens, who's going to take care of the poor? Who's going to take care of those who are unemployed? Who are going to take care of the elderly? If you really want small government, let's be a group of people. When the press says, oh, who's going to take care of the poor? We don't say, oh, we will. We say we are. Our churches, our neighborhoods are organized, and we're taking care of the poor and those who cannot work. Barack Obama's winning slogan was, yes, we can. That's the dumbest damn slogan I've ever heard. Because that was the thing that I always got in trouble for at home. When I was a kid, Glenn, you gonna clean up your room? Yeah, I'll do that. I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Don't tell me what you can do. Will you do it? Will you do it? Yes, we can. What a bunch of crap that is. Yes, I will. You gonna vote? Yeah, I can do that. Are you gonna vote? Yeah, I can do that. Are you gonna vote? Yes, I will. Will you be a man or a woman of honor? Will you be a man or woman of honor? Yes, I will. Will you seek equal justice for all? Yes, I will. Will you follow even if, because sometimes I got to tell you, I just tell you like this so he can't hear. Sometimes God says crazy things. Sometimes he'll tell you to do stuff and you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Sometimes he'll tell you things like, leave the most powerful name in news and go on the internet. What? Sometimes he'll tell you, I love this one. Hey, I know you really believe that the world is coming undone, and I know that you really believe that everything is just going to go to hell in a handbasket, and I know you really believe that money is going to be worthless, and I know you believe that you should get prepared and you should really, just not spend money like it's water. Start a network. What? God will tell you to do crazy things sometimes. If he's telling you to kill somebody, that ain't God. That's not God. Hey, strap a suicide belt on yourself. That's not God. He's not telling you to do that. But he's requiring us to have faith. He doesn't trust us so much. He's like he's throwing a surprise party for evil. He really is. It's great. I love this. All the lights are off, and you're standing right where you know you're supposed to stand, and then he says, move out of that light where you're really comfortable. Move out, move out, move out. Just go stand over here. Just, what? I like it here. It's nice and warm in the light. No, go stand over here. Okay, okay. And then you stand there for a while, and you're like, all right, I have no idea why I'm standing here. Why am I here? What's going on? And pretty soon, you're in this dark room, and you hear somebody else say, I don't have any idea why I'm here. What do you want from me? And you're like, is there somebody else in this room? Shh, what? And then you hear another voice, and another voice, and another voice, and none of us will have any idea what we're supposed to do. But we each have a unique piece. We are all born at this time for a reason. It's not happenstance that you're here in this country at this time. Looking at that painting, there is no such thing as a coincidence. You were born with a unique skill. It might just be to meet one person and get them to register. That may be it. Elections have been won and lost by one vote. And believe me, the other side's going to be voting early and often. Whatever your one piece is, fall to your knees. Plan your life. My kids tell me all the time, my older kids, Dad, this isn't how I plan my life. I mean, this means everything might change in my life. I'm like, yeah, I know, it sucks. Doesn't it? That's life. But the good news is it all works out for our best in the end. It's all good in the end. We just don't like the unknown. We plan our life. I urge you, plan your life. Then pray on that plan. And then whatever he says to do, nope, that's not it. Really? But I really like that idea. Nope, that's not it. Okay, really? Because maybe I didn't explain this. This is a great plan, God. No. I want you to stand over here. That's the moment of choice. Will you plan your life and then pray on it? And if he tells you to do something else that seems nuts to you or something you don't want to do, will you do it? Yes, I will. Seek the truth. Have the courage to stand. These are not the times that try men's souls, but they're coming. But the great news is we'll be ready. And if we do what we're supposed to do, we win in the end. When a German painter saw the whole of Europe burst into flames and crazy radical ideas spill out into a book called the Communist Manifesto that makes no sense whatsoever, and everything was stacked against, he took out a giant piece of canvas, not knowing if it would make any difference at all, and he painted this. They won the American Revolution, the Spring of Nations, and let this inspire us again to move forward. All of us in the boat, all of us there by choice, all of us rowing in the same direction, all of us doing one thing: relying on the protection of divine providence and mutually pledging to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, so we will yet again win and restore the honor, the integrity, and dare I say it, the exceptionalism of the United States of America. Thank you. Vote Chew 2012. God bless.